Welcome. I'm Dr. Mob Grinder. In this video, I'm gonna... What in the world? Death Note. I didn't put this here. It just looks like an empty book and quill to me. Very, very strange. You ever get the feeling like you're being watched? Alright, so we're going to put together a Death Note system using command blocks, item frames, and a book and quill. And then I'll show you the advanced version using tags and a scoreboard. So as you can see here, we've got an empty book and quill. And Mob Grinder number 2 is doing just fine. So when we're using the Death Note, we're going to want to choose our target. Simply type their name in the top line. And then place it in an item frame. And as you can see, magic. And just to show you that it wasn't a fluke, once again. Get out of the way, horse. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want when you're putting this together is you're going to want a unique book and quill so that not just any player can just put together their own Death Note. You know, it's got to be uncraftable. So we've got writable underscore book 1. I'm using 11 as my data indicator. You can put whatever number you choose to there, so long as it's unique and an uncraftable book. Our first command block is going to be repeat unconditional always active. And it's set here for 80 ticks. Now this particular command, the execute command, is very cool, very unique. It's actually testing every single player. It's testing the relative coordinates from that player. And every time it sees an item frame, it's going to see if it matches this item frame right here next to the command block. That's how the mechanism works. Our second command, chain conditional always active, is going to be our effect. So as you can see in this case, we've typed in Dr. Mob Grinder number 2 ahead of time. So if you're playing with 5 or 6, 7 players all the time, you're going to want to create a block for everybody just like that, right? We're also going to want to set a ticking area. And I'm about to show you why. One thing I didn't mention is the book, the Death Note, inside the item frame right next to that command block we were just working on matches the Dr. Mob Grinder number 2. That's very, very important. The code is looking for an identical match, but it's going to find it in any item frame in the world as long as it meets some specific requirements that we'll get into next. So as you can see, Dr. Mob Grinder number 2 in our Death Note. And once again, magic. Now, based on the code and the placement of the item frame in this setup, it's only going to work with a north-facing item frame at eye level. Okay, So as you can see here, we're placing these frames and death notes in different positions, facing west, facing south, facing east. And nothing is happening. It's going to be very important, and probably want to put that in the death note in some instructions so it's easier to follow. All right, now let's say you want to put together this same system, but you want to do it in a server where you're not really sure who's going to join. You may have a dozen strangers joining, right? So in this case, we're going to want to do tags and a scoreboard. And for the example I'm about to show, we'll call it player number 2. So we're going to set our death note player number 2 in the item frame. Same exact code, we've only moved the Y coordinate up 2 blocks. And as you can see here, our effect is targeting a player who has the tag player number 2. It's not going to affect any other player than that specific player with that specific tag. Now, how you decide and choose to place unique tags on the players in your world is entirely up to you. Be creative. You can do it. I would suggest like a pressure plate and a command block. It would be just like this command here, tag at player add player 2, player 3, player 4, etc., etc., but then have that pressure plate disappear so that you don't have multiple players walking around with the same tags. Next thing we're going to want to do is set up our scoreboard. So we're going to add a player dummy, just like this. Now this command will have to go through a command block, and it's going to be testing for your players who have those tags we talked about. Player 2, player 3, etc. You're going to do the same thing, but you're going to add player space 2, player space 3, and so on. And there's a reason for that. I'm about to show you. So as you can see, now we can see below Dr. Mobgrinder number 2's name, we can see 2 player. And if we were to add player space 3, it would be that much higher. And now this way, we can track down a player and see that specific scoreboard, see their player number, and now we can use that to initiate our death note. I'd like to thank Easy Breezy 479 for requesting this command block challenge. If you have a similar challenge you would like to see in another video, put it in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.